Good morning and welcome to KidNuz, generously sponsored today by the Feaster family of San Francisco, California, to say a big happy birthday to James, who turns 7 tomorrow, and to shout out his big sister, Kate. James, all of us at KidNuz hope your special day is awesome, and we're so glad to get to help you celebrate. I'm Tori. It's Thursday, November 10th, 2022. And we begin with Election Day leading to a lot of firsts. Residents of Arkansas, Massachusetts, and New York voted in their first female governors. And in Florida, 25-year-old part-time Uber driver Maxwell Frost won his race, making him the first member of Gen Z and among the youngest politicians ever elected to the U.S. Congress. As far as the balance of power in Washington, D.C., that is still up in the air. At this point, it looks like the House of Representatives will be controlled by Republicans, while the situation in the Senate is less clear. Some races are still too close to call, and the contest in Georgia is headed to a runoff in early December. It didn't take forever for the Black Panther sequel to come out, but it might have felt like it. The long-awaited release of Wakanda Forever opens tomorrow in the U.S., almost 3 years after filming initially began in January 2020. But many obstacles slowed down production, including the pandemic and the tragic death of star Chadwick Boseman. Disney, which owns the Marvel series, held the official African premiere of the new movie last weekend in Lagos, Nigeria. This is the first time a big movie premiere was ever held in the largest city on the continent, which is also a major entertainment hub. The movie, rated PG-13, is described in USA Today as an action film that's also about the ways people protect their family and heritage. For the first time ever, blood that's been grown in a laboratory has been injected into human volunteers. This is a big deal because some people going through an operation in hospitals need blood transfusions to survive. And the supply now comes only from others who donate their blood. But finding enough donors can be hard, especially for patients with a rare blood type. This lab-grown blood was produced from donors' stem cells at the University of Bristol in the UK. And so far, only a small amount, a couple teaspoons, has been injected into 2 people who are said to be doing fine. The Independent reports this test will be done on 10 people in total, and while a lot more work needs to be done, the scientists say this trial is a huge stepping stone to help patients in need. Minecraft users are known for their creativity, building cities and countries. Now a teenager from San Diego has raised the bar by building the entire known universe. Christopher Slayton started by creating Earth and even went skydiving to get a better perspective of our planet. After that, he turned his attention to the rest of the solar system. His virtual sun used the brightest blocks possible and even includes solar flares. Expanding out into the whole universe took about 2 months to build. All his efforts are getting noticed. His YouTube video outlining the process has over 7.5 million views in a few weeks, and like the universe, it keeps getting bigger. A sneakerhead from Kentucky is crafting designer kicks for horses. Marcus Floyd, who has always had a thing for fancy athletic footwear, started creating customized versions for clients a few years ago. But this summer, the Public Tourism Agency for his hometown of Lexington, Kentucky, known as the horse capital of the world, asked if he could retrofit some sneakers for horses. The reason? Bring attention to the million-dollar horse athletes that are a big part of the city's culture. Mr. Floyd's first set, 4 modified Air Jordans, took 15 hours to make. But now that he's got the model down, he's made 4 more sets for other brands. Mr. Floyd tells the Washington Post there's a huge market for shoes for these hoofed athletes, whether they're running in them, jumping, or just traveling to the show. That's it for KidNuz. Now, the KidNuz quiz. Which movie is opening tomorrow nearly 3 years after filming started? Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. A teenager created what on Minecraft? A model of the entire known universe. A sneakerhead is crafting designer shoes for what kind of animal? Horses. How many states just voted in their first female governor? 3. Arkansas, Massachusetts, and New York, where Governor Kathy Hochul won election after assuming the top job last year when Andrew Cuomo resigned. In our Kid News Kicker, tomorrow is Veterans Day, a federal holiday that honors the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces. President Woodrow Wilson established Armistice Day, as it was then called, on November 11, 1919. That was 1 year after a ceasefire agreement, or armistice, was signed to end the First World War. It was renamed Veterans Day in 1954 in the U.S., but other countries like France and New Zealand still refer to it as Armistice Day, while the UK, Australia, and Canada call it Remembrance Day, and Malta and South Africa call it Poppy Day. Thank you again to the Feaster family of San Francisco for sponsoring today's episode. Happy birthday, a day early to James, a big Kid News hello to his big sister Kate, and shout-outs for all his friends and his teachers, Miss Riojas and Miss Keene at Stewart Hall for Boys. Before we go, we want to give a big Kid News shout-out to some of our other terrific teachers, Mrs. Clark and her seagulls at Loranger Memorial School in Old Orchard Beach, Maine, Mrs. Alvarado and her avocados at Serene Elementary in Austin, Texas, Mrs. West and her podcasting class in the library at Tates Creek Elementary in Lexington, Kentucky, Mrs. Worrell and her lions who are kind, determined, smart, helpful, and loved at Blue Stem in Leon, Kansas, and Mrs. Hutchcraft and her junior Panthers at Pinckneyville Grade School in Pinckneyville, Illinois. Thanks for listening. There won't be a podcast tomorrow due to Veterans Day. Have a great weekend, and we hope you tune in for more Kid News Monday morning.